Thank you so much for attending my PowerPoint presentation on Wraith King, a stupid hero for stupid players. Wraith King is a melee strength carry who is defined by his ultimate, Reincarnation, that gives him an Aegis of the Immortal on a cooldown. In addition to that, he also deals insane physical burst damage thanks to his timed crit, and gets a ton of utility from Bone Guard, a facet that allows him to gain skeleton charges and pop them to do a bunch of cool things. All these traits combine to make him an incredibly strong farmer who can absolutely devour the map. Wraith King's funniest feature is his facet Bone Guard that allows him to gain skeleton charges from every 2 last hits or denies. These skeletons can then be popped up to 8 at a time to do a variety of different things. Probably their most defining feature is their use as a farming tool. They can hit the wave while you hit the jungle, or vice versa, and while you cannot control them directly, there's a bunch of cool tricks you can do to manipulate their AI to make sure that they hit the right target instead of running over to an axe. Even at early levels, they can be popped in order to win a fight in the lane or take an objective. They're really strong at hitting buildings, and they have a ton of hidden utility in that you can use them to ruin a bunch of different ultimates. For example, if Lich pops ulti, you can pop skeletons, each of which will form as a valid target for the ult, and then completely waste it. The same is true for Juggernaut's Omni Slash and the bounces off of Witch Doctor's Axe. Wraith King's ultimate Reincarnation is one of the single best ults in the game. Whenever you die, you instead consume a little bit of mana, and then after a few seconds of a delay, you pop back up with full HP, full mana, ready to go. This gives Wraith King a really fun playstyle where you can basically just jump into a bunch of heroes, tank as many spells as you can, die, set up the team fight for your team, and then win afterwards. It's also a massive AoE slow. That's the reason that Valve made it so you can pass yourself away, is so you can activate that slow whenever you want. It also opens up some really cool play patterns with Aegis of the Immortal. You can take Aegis and live 3 times, or you can give it to, for example, a tanky mid laner like Death Prophet, and now the enemy team has to deal with not 1, but 2 Reincarnators on the enemy team, and they will probably lose the game. Now you may think to yourself, well, if it has a mana cost, I can just suck his mana away on Lion or stack Diffusal Blades and get rid of his mana first. And you can, but Aghanim Shard makes it so that you can no longer do that, and a fully farmed Wraith King takes, 90 seconds to get that? So it's not actually real counterplay. You're just going to have to deal with 2 Wraith Kings. Good luck, dude. As for how to play Wraith King, your abilities are pretty much set in stone. You can go either the Q or your E level 1. The Q is good for a first blood fight. The E is good for securing range creeps and harassing the enemy offlaner. Do what you like. You're going to go 1-1-1 anyway. Then max out Bone Guard. As for items, Radiance is pretty much mandatory. You have 2 HP bars. You get to proc Radiance for as long as you can. I highly recommend it. There is an argument to go Armlet first. It's a bad argument. Don't do it. After Radiance, Blink is pretty much mandatory in 90% of games, and even in the 10% that you don't need it, you should probably go it anyway. You don't have any built-in mobility, your skeletons are actually faster than you, so being able to blink in and get your Q off before the enemy can react is super important. After that, you have a couple decisions to make. There's basically 2 paths you can go, Western Man. On the right side, you have burst damage. This is so if you need to take out an Oracle or a Silencer or another hero that absolutely cannot get any spells off, go that, blink in, stun them, kill them, set your team up for success in the ensuing team fight. The alternative is more of the offlane Wraith King style, but it absolutely works as a carry. You go Aghanim Scepter to make sure that your team doesn't die when they die. Then you can go Refresher to make sure Reincarnation procs twice. Then you can go Octarine to just keep the gravy train rolling. Both of these options are really good. It really depends on the game. It's kind of counterintuitive, but if the enemy team is really tanky, it's actually better to go the Live Forever build rather than the damage build. Meanwhile, if they're brittle and you know that you can one-shot them with a Desolator in your crit, go for the right side evil build. Now, you may be wondering, you're talking a lot about Bone Guard, but that's only one half of the hero. What about Spectral Blade, the other facet? If you'd like to know my thoughts on Spectral Blade, you can read this. I'm not talking about it here, just know that it's bad and you shouldn't pick it. Now, a big tanky hero that does a bunch of physical bursts and has a bunch of little bony boys running around everywhere sounds like he'd be really difficult to beat, but he's actually not that bad. The biggest thing that you can do is have a source of consistent damage. If your team is built around heroes like Enigma or Tidehunter, who hit 1 spell to proc the majority of their damage and control, Wraith King is going to be really strong, because you either use it on his first life, and then he just pops back up again ready to go, or you save it for a second and you don't get to do your cool spell. The best way to counteract this is having sources of consistent damage, preferably sources of damage that also clear skellies. Sven is probably one of the best for this. His ultimate lasts a long time, giving him a massive damage buff. You kill him with your ulti, he respawns, you kill him again. Other heroes like Underlord and Necrophos are really good. Underlord especially because his aura makes it so that Wraith King doesn't hit nearly as hard, which will help keep your support safe. Speaking of which, that's another really good way to counter Wraith King. He wants to blink in and just obliterate your 4 or 5 to keep the fight going on a 4v5. If you have a way to protect your support, either through their positioning or their item build, or you have a hero like Abaddon or something like that, you absolutely should. Keeping your supports alive against Wraith King is going to go a long way. You have a long fight ahead of you, 2 HP bars to deal with. Keeping everyone alive is paramount. Lastly, Axe is really good. He counters almost every carry, but in Wraith King's case, he also counters the Skellies. Lastly, in terms of item builds, you have the classics, Ghost Scepter, Yule's Force Staff. I forgot to put Glimmer Cape here again, but that item works too. Anything that can stall out Wraith King and keep your support safe is usually pretty good against him. So in conclusion, Wraith King is dumb. You should absolutely pick him. He's one of only 2 heroes that gets directly rewarded for dying, and we're going to talk about the other one tomorrow. Peace on planet Earth.